baby. Let's go live. Let's go live. Let's go live. We are waiting for others to join. Let's go live, everybody. We are on TikTok, we are on YouTube, and we are on Twitch. Although I don't have much of a Twitch audience, but all you have to do is send a message on YouTube or a gift. Trade Puka and Scary Terry for Mike Evans and Jonathan Taylor. Ask user 27899. Okay, Puka and Scary Terry for Mike Evans and Jonathan Taylor. So it sounds like you need a running back. Yeah, I mean, I guess you can try. The thing about Mike Evans is, and let me just look him up real quick. I think he's out for a little bit. Like, I think it's more than just this week, but let me double check that. He's listed as out. Bucks declared Mike. This is from Sunday. Yeah, I don't have any health updates on Mike Evans as of right now, but there's a chance he might be out. So if you're getting Mike Evans in the short term, you might not be able to use him. Hey, Daniel Berry, Sports Highlights. Glad to have you on board on YouTube. I'm on YouTube, TikTok, and Twitch. So yeah, I mean, I think if you need a running back, you're essentially getting Puka and Terry for Jonathan Taylor and Mike Evans eventually. So hopefully you have other wide receivers that you can fill in when you make this trade. You're getting rid of two, but then hopefully, and you're getting one that's probably injured. So hopefully you have another wide receiver that you can start. So all right. Yeah, no, I think that's a good trade. I think Jonathan Taylor will put up some good numbers with Indianapolis, so that's awesome. Waddle and Hawkinson for Reed. Here's the thing about Reed. Well, with Love as the quarterback, and my guess is in maybe 2 weeks, Love will come back as the quarterback. With Willis, his value might be up. But with Love as the quarterback, Reed really hasn't been putting up big numbers. Everybody's going after Reed because of the name Reed. You know, they want Reed on their team. They see him as a number one wide receiver. The only issue I have is that Reed isn't really putting up numbers. Andrew sent a rose. Andrew, thank you. You will move to the front of the line as usual. So I'm putting you down on the list. But so that's just something good to know. Are you taking Derek and Cup for Taylor and Jamar Chase? Ooh, is that for me? Are you taking Derek and Cup for Taylor? Derek and Cup for Taylor and Jamar Chase. Am I talking Derek? Well, I mean, Derek Henry and Cooper Cup for Taylor and Jamar Chase, probably not a bad trade, probably pretty even. Taylor obviously doesn't put up the numbers Derek Henry does, but Jamar Chase has much better numbers and is obviously healthier than Cooper Cup. And Cup obviously splits a lot more with Puka. Although you could say that Jamar Chase splits a little bit with T. Higgins when he returns. So, Andrew, if your question is, and let me just double check it, if you're asking like, are you taking Derek and Cup for Taylor and Jamar Chase? Are you trading? I'm not exactly 100% sure of what you mean by that. So let me, your question, Andrew, is, are you taking Derek and Cup for Taylor and Jamar Chase? I would say that's a pretty fair trade. Derek Henry is way up there. Jonathan Taylor is sort of just below Derek Henry numbers wise, on an average at least. And but then with Derek Henry, you're giving Cooper Cup, and then you're getting Jamar Chase. Now, truthfully, nobody's putting numbers up like Derek Henry is. And if you're getting rid of Derek Henry, I have to really question why you would be doing that. Because he puts up so many big numbers that, Taylor might put up 20, but Henry might put up 30 that week. And Cooper Cup, I'm sure he'll rebound a little bit. I didn't think that he was all that impressive in his game back with San Francisco. If he didn't score that touchdown, he would never have gotten to 13 points, which is really cool. Hey, Nathaniel, thanks for joining. I'm on TikTok, Twitch, and YouTube now. I'm on everything, so I'll try to keep up with everybody's chats. But right now, I am talking about Andrew's question, which is, are you taking Derek and Cup for Taylor and Jamar Chase? Let me just see if Adrian's here. Hey, Adrian, how are you? I'll get to you in just a second. Let me just see if Andrew, like a trade. Yeah. I mean, here's the thing. If you're trading Derrick Henry, it's too many points. Like Derrick Henry is almost two people by himself. And so anything you get in return, like Jonathan Taylor, is not enough. Like, for instance, Andrew, if it was you were giving away Derrick Henry and you were getting Taylor and Jamar Chase, that's fair. But giving up Kupp and Derrick Henry and getting Taylor and Jamar Chase, I don't know if that's that good of a deal. I mean, Derrick Henry has just so many fantasy points. That's why it is what it is, if that makes sense. And I'm just looking at my YouTube numbers because I have to do this on two different computers. So, like, maybe you don't get Taylor and Jamar Chase. Maybe you get Taylor and like Jaden Reed or somebody like that, or you know, Drake London or something. But I think giving up Derrick Henry, you should be looking at getting Taylor and somebody else who's pretty good, because that's how good he is. So if you're giving up Derrick Henry and Kupp, I don't think it's a fair trade. If you're getting Derrick Henry and Kupp, I think it's a good trade for you then. That's how I would look at it. Let me go to Adrian. I saw him. No, I'm getting into Derrick and Kupp. No, you're getting Derrick and Kupp. Okay, so then I would make that trade, Andrew. I think it's a good trade. I mean, Derrick Henry, I think he has over 200 points. I mean, nobody, like 130, maybe, someone has, but he's like over 200 points. It's unreal what he's doing. All right. Let me just go back to, I see John and where was Adrian? Okay, Adrian, start Nix or Stafford or Baker? Well, you know what my answer is going to be. Stafford, Nix, or Baker? I always err on the side of Baker because even when he had nobody this past week, he put up 24 points. And John and Jason, I'll get to you unless we get a gifter in front of that. Don't forget, guys, to follow me so you know when I'm live. I go live. I'll start going live Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, sometimes Fridays if I'm a total nerd and I have nothing to do. Saturday mornings at 11 a.m. Eastern. And then I might go live on Sundays. I might just take Sundays off. It's a lot after a while. So, all right, Stafford, Nixon, Baker. Let's just look them up real quick. I just want to look up the matchups, really. I like Stafford a lot better because he has his two main receivers back. So there is that. I mean, that's a good thing for him and any Stafford owners. I know that Nix isn't necessarily, what Nix isn't really a known commodity that much. I think people have some trepidation with Nix, but I think that he has put up some good numbers in the last few weeks and should not be a problem. So like Stafford, the last 3 weeks, 24, 29, 28, even before that, 23, 28. Okay, so he puts up 20 points all the time. So if you're in a 10-team league, Adrian, you want those 20 points every single time. Even if you're in a 12-team league, a 14-team league, you want those points. Now, with Bo Nix, it's a little more hit or miss. The Denver Broncos go up against Baltimore. Baltimore has a pretty bad pass defense, so there is some hope. It's not like the Baltimore defenses of, I don't know, 10 years ago, let's say. He had 29 points against a weak Carolina. He only had 14 points against New Orleans, 21 against the Chargers, 23 against Vegas, and then just 6 against the Jets. And then let's go back to Stafford here. These things are all out of calibration. Stafford, I would not start. Well, they're playing Seattle. I that's an interdivisional. I think the safest bet is to play Baker Mayfield. Well, okay, they go against Kansas City. Tampa Bay's playing Kansas City, so then it's Stafford and Knicks. So you might want to play Stafford because he's playing Seattle and he did have 25 points last week. So that's not too bad. Now, on the other hand, Bo Nix has put up the last 4 weeks 23, 21, 14, 29. They go up against Baltimore, and Baltimore does not have a good pass defense. It's actually very bad. Their run defense is number 1 yards per game average. So that's a big difference with Baltimore. So, truthfully speaking, Nix is actually a steady pick. It's a decent matchup because Baltimore's pass defense is so bad. And he's put up, quality points 3 of the last 4 weeks. Las Vegas, the Chargers, Carolina. He's put up good numbers, but those aren't great teams. I mean, Stafford went up against Minnesota and put up 25, and that's because he had Puka and Cooper Kupp. I'm taking a long time on this because I'm really debating. I like the fact that Mayfield is very steady with over 20 points. I don't like that he's up against Kansas City. I think Kansas City brings a lot of heat. I don't think that's going to be good for him. John, I see your question. You don't have to spam me. I love you, man. I really do. I see your question. You will be next. I'm just taking a long time on this one. I would probably lean towards Stafford based on the matchup and the fact that he has his 2 wide receivers back. And, Knicks, Javonte Williams is going to get slammed because their run defense is so good at Baltimore. And that might limit some of the opportunities in the pass game if they can't establish the run game. So I would do Stafford because Kyron Williams is a wonderful running back. He's got his 2 aces back to throw to. So I would go Stafford. I don't like the matchup with Mayfield, so I'm leaning towards Stafford. But if you played any one of them, I could see where you do that. All right, John, I will go to you. Nope, wrong. I'm on 2 computers, guys. Sorry about that. All right. Any questions on YouTube? Or we got 11 people on YouTube. All right. Hey, I'm giving Deontay Johnson and David Montgomery for Alvin Kamara. Ugh. Let me look up Kamara and Monty. I think Montgomery puts up good numbers. Even though he kind of tag teams or is a 2-headed monster in Detroit. He's had, this is his season. This is Montgomery's season. 15, 15, 19, 14, 20, 6.5. But that was the game that he got injured, and 14. So outside of the one game where he got a little bit injured and they used Gibbs a lot, he gives you over 13 points every single game. Now let me look up Kamara. I'm not sold that he's as consistent. And I don't love their offense right now because they don't really have a quarterback. Yeah, Kamara has 19, 43, 14, 21, 9, 14, 5, 15. What I don't like is in the last 4 weeks, twice he's gone under 10 points, Kamara. And that 43 points, like, he may not get that again this season, like that high. So you almost have to, like, to be truthful, or one way to look at it is if you take out, he's played in 8 games, he's gone over 13 points 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 times. But that 43 points, I almost take out. I almost say, it's 7 weeks and see what that average is then. But anyway, yeah, I don't think it's a great trade, John. I think David Montgomery gives you 15 points every single week. And to give David Montgomery and Deontay Johnson, I don't think his numbers are going to go way up. I don't think he's going to get really good because they have all the targets in Baltimore are available. There's no one really injured. There's no one that they traded. They have Bateman, Flowers, they have Andrews, they have Likely out of the, as tight ends. So let's say that Lamar Jackson throws 35 times. It just means there's one person that he's going to throw to, I don't know, 5-6 times. So that's going to take away one pass on average to everybody else. So it's just going to sort of lessen the amount of targets that everybody kind of gets. So that's just kind of a throwaway one. But I actually think David Montgomery is more consistent than Alvin Kamara, sorry. So I don't love that trade. And don't get caught up on that 43 points. I mean, that was probably a one-time deal. I don't see that happening again this season. I mean, you just can't plan for someone scoring that many points. Plus, they were on a roll. Their offense was clicking. Derek Carr's been out. They've gone back and forth with different quarterbacks over the last few weeks. So their offense is half of what it used to be, or it's not clicking like it did the first 2 or 3 weeks of the season. So that's why I don't like that trade. All right, Jordan, should I start Downs this week? Well, I don't know who else you have. I don't want to sound like a jerk. I'm not trying to be a jerk, but let me tell you, since I don't know what other options you have, unless you've told me and I don't see that. Let's see. Jordan, thank you for the rose. Thank you very much. I'm just seeing if I'm on Jordan. What wide receivers should I start? Okay. So let me just look up Downs. Downs is relatively consistent. I don't understand that 0.8 that he got 2 weeks ago against Miami, but against Houston, he had 20. Against Tennessee, who's actually not a bad defense, he got 16. 11 against Jacksonville, which seems low. He was targeted 12 times. He does have 3 touchdowns, and against Pittsburgh, he got a whopping, which is big, 18 points. Now with Josh Downs, the one thing to remember is he's questionable. Let me just read. He didn't practice today. It doesn't really mean anything. He could be taking a break, but you'll want to know if he practices tomorrow and Friday. He might be limited tomorrow. If he has a full practice on Friday, that's usually a sign that 75% chance that he'll play over the weekend. If he's limited Thursday and Friday, maybe it's 50-50. You usually want a full practice there on Friday at least. And obviously, if he doesn't practice or, if he doesn't practice tomorrow and Friday, obviously he's not going to play. But they need the reps. So, okay, Jordan, what wide receivers should I start? I have Garrett Wilson, Jamar Chase. Okay, A470268. Wow, that is it's like a social security number. Let me get done with Jordan and then I'll go to you, A. Thank you for the rose. Okay, what wide receivers? Okay, Garrett Wilson. I'm just writing this down so I know. Garrett Wilson. Where did you go? God bless it. I looked down. Garrett Wilson. Let's see. Jordan. Garrett Wilson, Jamar Chase, Drake London, Tillman Downs. Oh, you're giving me a lot to look at, dude. Why don't you trade some of these people? I mean, Jordan, do you have you have Garrett Wilson, Jamar Chase, Drake London, Tillman and Downs. You could trade Tillman and Downs probably and get a running back if you needed one. I mean, you have a lot. Oh, Josh is here. I know Josh is. So A4470. And then Josh, I will get you. And Jordan, thank you for the roses. Okay. So let me just look these guys up. You've given me 5 people to look up. So just give me a little bit of time here. It takes just a little bit. I want to see what they look like next to each other, if that makes sense. So I'm going to look up Chase. Well, I know Chase. Jamar Chase plays Las Vegas, so you're going to want to start Jamar Chase. Okay, I'm going to circle him. Of course, my pen just runs out. Great. Jamar Chase, I'm going to circle him. Now, let me look at London. I like London. He had a bad week last week, but he's very consistent. And I was kind of surprised he did, because it was against Tampa Bay and he had 27 points against them. All right, Berto, thank you. You'll be after Josh. Thank you for the roses. Wow, 20. Thank you very much. But they're playing Dallas. So I like London. Right now, I like Chase and London for the two wide receivers. Tillman and Downs. I like Tillman with Cleveland, but Cleveland's offense to me is not as settled as Burrow throwing to Chase, not even as much as Cousins throwing to London. Okay, even though London had sort of a down game. London brought in for the target 6 games. London's first chance to regroup comes. Yeah, I think London will be okay. Let me just see Tillman real quick. I know he had a good week for Cleveland last week. Yeah, he's had 14 and 25. They play the Chargers. See, I would go Chase in London and possibly, hey, Bob, thank you very much. Glad to see you on board, Bob. Thank you. Thank you for the roses. I actually like Tillman maybe in a flex. You know, you have so many wide receivers that someone like Bob, I know, would love to have the wide receivers: Wilson, Chase, London, Downs, Tillman. Listen to that, Bob. Like, you'd take two of them off him real quick, wouldn't you? I would go Chase, London, and Tillman maybe at the flex. The reason why I'm not saying Wilson is I think Wilson's role has been diminished a little bit, meaning he, can get you 10 points. He's clearly the number 2. He gets you decent points. I think he had that 13 or higher this past week, but before that he had 10. And eventually they're going to have to throw to Devontae Adams more or get him worked into the offense, because he has not been doing anything. And I know fans are probably getting really upset about that. So I totally get that. But I would go Chase, London, and I would look for Tillman in the flex. But Downs is a good option too. Let me just look at him, because I did not look him up real quick. The only thing about Downs that I have to make sure of, Downs logged 70%. He figures to approach this. So Downs isn't bad. He's in questionable. He didn't practice today, so you'll have to know whether or not Downs is an option. But I could even see where you would put him possibly in at a flex. The one thing that you'll have to double check on is, does Downs play well with Flacco? And I don't really have that answer right off the top of my head, but my guess is that he probably does, because his numbers, it looks like when Flacco's, so it's the last couple of weeks. Last week he had 20 points. 2 weeks ago, 0.8. Then he had 16, 11, 18. So pretty good. But right now I'm looking at Tillman at the flex, London and Chase as your wide receivers. You can swap out London for Downs if you wanted, or London for Tillman if you're just talking about starting 2. You could do that. I would definitely do Jamar Chase. And if you don't want to do London, you could put Tillman in. If you want maybe a safer bet because of, London getting such low points last week. All right. I hope I helped answer that. Let's go to A470 real quick. A470. Cam, you're A470. JSN or Coleman? All right. All right, Jordan, thank you very much. So Coleman is someone I've been looking at for a while now. I've just sort of been following. I think he's been putting up some good numbers, 14 and 15 points the last 2 weeks. Let me look at Smith. I just call him Smith because that's the name I remember and I can spell easily, because I'm not a good speller on names all the time. So Jackson. Yeah, Jackson's been a little inconsistent. Now, I know that he's a number 1, but I don't have data that tells me, oh, he's going to score 15 points, or that's what he normally does. So that's why I would really go with Coleman because he's done it the last 2 weeks. Now he goes up against Miami. Smith goes up against the Rams, but the Rams are kind of a different team. You know, they surprised me by winning against Minnesota. Minnesota's a very good team, so I would go with Keon Coleman definitely on that one. A47026. I would go with Coleman. All right, now we go to Josh. I'm looking for Josh. Let me just make sure that I'm in the right. Yes, I'm looking for Josh. Okay, Josh, have Justin J. Oh, congratulations. Cooper Kupp, T. Higgins, Jacoby Myers, D Hop, need a back. Okay, so you want to trade these guys. Well, okay, so a couple things to think about. If you trade for this weekend, T. Higgins might be injured and might not be able to play. All right. D Hop has done nothing his first week with Kansas City. All right. But if you go on the speculation, you could theoretically, okay. My screen the chat just keeps moving. It's killing me right now. But okay, Josh. So what is this right, Josh? Yeah. So what I'm thinking is Justin Jefferson you keep unless you want to trade for like like a Joe Mixon, not quite a Derrick Henry, Saquon Barkley maybe. Derrick Henry's putting up crazy good numbers. All right. Josh Downs. Okay, Bob, I'll look up Josh Downs. But okay, so Justin Jefferson, I would try to keep. Cooper Kupp and T. Higgins might be the other two that you keep. You keep one, and maybe you throw in a package with like D Hop. You put T. Higgins in there because T. Higgins might not play, and you could trade for T. Higgins and Hopkins. You might be able to get, Josh Jacobs with Green Bay. I don't think you're going to get Mixon. He might be a little too much in there. Maybe a Breece Hall, but he's been fairly inconsistent over the last 3 or 4 weeks. Good game, bad game, good game, bad game. When I say bad game, that's under 13 points. Actually, his bad games are under 10 points. That's what I mean. Bad games are under 10 points. I'm always thinking a 10-team league because that's what most of you guys play if you're on ESPN and Yahoo and any other sites. So that's usually what happens there. Now, for instance, I'm just checking to see if I have any questions on YouTube. I'm on YouTube, Twitch, and TikTok, obviously. So what I'm thinking, Josh, is maybe you package T up with either Jacoby or D Hop, and you try to get yourself like a Josh Jacobs. Or I'm trying to think who else. Maybe, or what you could maybe do is like send maybe Jacoby and D Hop for like a Bucky Irving who puts up, who's kind of on a third tier, but at least you're getting, and you're not giving up Cooper and T Higgins. You're keeping 3 really good wide receivers, but maybe Jacoby and D Hop, you get a Bucky Irving who's, maybe in a third tier, but he puts up right around that 13 points. And he's been, getting the ball more, for obvious reasons in Tampa Bay. You could do something like that. That's where I would look for that. Now, if you wanted to trade like Kupp and T Higgins, you could go after like Saquon Barkley, or if you wanted to trade Justin Jefferson and let's say T Higgins or Cooper Kupp, maybe you can get, maybe that would get you Saquon Barkley, but you could try that, or Cooper and T might get you Kenneth Walker in Seattle, maybe Kyron Williams ish, Mixon ish, kind of in that level, because I kind of think of Derrick Henry, Saquon Barkley, although Barkley's numbers aren't that much more than like a Mixon's numbers if you look at them. But so that's I think the possible trades you can have with your wide receivers. So thank you, Josh, for that. I hope I helped. I'm looking for Berto and then Bob. I'm not seeing Berto. I'm not seeing Berto. Berto. Okay, I'm going to jump to Bob right now. Berto, if you have a question, put it in all caps and put some emojis and stuff by it so I can see it. Did I not look it up? Okay. Let me go to Downs and look it up. Shoot, hold on. I gotta zoom in here. Can I join your live? Hertz Prods YouTube. You can join my live. You can ask a question on YouTube, or you can join on TikTok. I'm on TikTok, Twitch, and YouTube right now. Hertz Prods YT. All right. So Josh Down. Oh, thank you, Josh, for the ghost. Hey, it's happy Halloween Eve. Okay. Now, Josh Downs did not practice today, but that doesn't really mean very much. He has I guess, a toe issue. Um, his last game, he had 20 points, 109 yards receiving, and 1 touchdown. The game before that, he didn't do so well. And then the game before that, he had 16 points, 11 points, 18. But let's see. Friday, he figures to approach this weekend's game against the Vikings minus an injury designation, just as he did. Okay. So if he gets in, he should do okay. He should do pretty good. And I think he does well with Flacco as the quarterback, as opposed to Anthony Richardson, which is actually good because Flacco is the quarterback that they're using, Bob. So if I don't know, because he missed practice, if he would have made practice, I'd say, oh yeah, he's probably going to play. But you'll have to look at the injury report tomorrow and Friday. Now, tomorrow he might be out again, or he might be limited. Friday he may practice. If he doesn't have a full practice, he only has like a 25% chance of playing this weekend if he doesn't have a full practice this week. Okay. So there's that kind of concern. So he needs to have a full practice by Friday. If he doesn't, he's probably not going to play. So that's just something to know. And let me know if you have any other questions on that, Bob. And as always, you can DM me on TikTok, but I don't have a solid answer. Josh Centeno, right? Or Centino, possibly. Thank you, Bob, for the roses. Oh, the pumpkin, too. Happy Halloween, everyone. Thanks, man. Have a good one, says Josh. Thank you. Thank you for the 5 pumpkins, Bob. And Bob, just DM me and I'll get back to you. Like I'll be checking that too. So it's not that big of a deal. Let's see. Did Berto ever send a question over? And then if he didn't, we're going to be all caught up. Berto, I'm not seeing anything, but that doesn't mean so. All right. Oh, hey, CJ, thanks for sharing the live. I appreciate it. That's what I was going to say. Please try to share. Just as a reset, everyone, I go live. Khalif Raymond to the moon. I don't know who that is. Uncle Ted on YouTube. Khalif Raymond to the moon. I don't know how to tell you, but I go live on Tuesdays. Well, now I'll start going live on Mondays before Monday Night Football, Tuesdays, Wednesdays, Thursday before kickoff. Sometimes I go live on Friday, although that's once I start on Mondays next week, it's going to be a lot. I go live on Saturday mornings at 11 a.m. I'm going to try to simulcast it, although I can't get everything on one computer. So the screen I'm looking at is for TikTok. And then I have a little camera that goes to my YouTube and Twitch feed on StreamYard. Yes, I use StreamYard. People make fun of me because it's so easy, but I use StreamYard, but for some reason, I can't find the RTMP number that's needed from TikTok to put everything on StreamYard. So I have to do it this way. And it kind of stinks because I always grab the wrong mouse because I have two mice. How do you say mouses, plural? All right. So it looks like we're caught up with the questions. So now, couple things. I'm trying to get 50 followers tonight on TikTok. And also, if you're on YouTube and or Twitch, subscribe, please, because I'm going to start going live like this on YouTube and Twitch when I go live on TikTok, which like I said, next week is going to be Monday through Thursday and Saturday mornings at 11 a.m. Eastern. I'll be live tomorrow night before the game on YouTube and TikTok and Twitch, although I don't have much of a following on Twitch. All right. So we're caught up, I believe, unless Bob has another question or anybody has another question. Let me just see real quick. So Kenny, Tillman to the moon. Okay, what is going on with to the moon? Am I missing something? Tillman to the moon. Khalif Raymond to the moon. What am I missing here? What's the moon thing? I know I'm crazy, but anyway, so on TikTok, if you're listening on TikTok and you want to get your questions read because we're getting inundated. Berto, thank you for the roses. One way to do it is be a previous gifter. Now that all the gifting, we're caught up with that for right now, or to follow me. And I'm trying to, Kenny, you are next. You gifted me a rose. You're next in line. So let's see. What does Kenny say? Oh, 4 roses. Thank you very much, Kenny. All right. So Kenny has, I don't understand the moon thing, and I don't have time to go through. CJ, though, thank you for sharing. Don't forget on TikTok to share this. And I don't even know if you can do it on YouTube. I'm trying to think. Kenny, I got Tyrone Tracy and Tillman in waivers this morning. Well, Tyron Tracy, I don't think is going to play this weekend. Now it's good that you got him because he's been putting up really good numbers for the Giants. So I think that was my screen just jumped, or my chat just jumped. That was Kenny. To the moon means breakout. Okay. See, I'm not hip to everything like that. So I like that though. Where did Kenny go? Yeah. Okay. All right. So I think, Kenny, if this is your question, I think you did really good by picking up Tyrone Tracy, although he is probably questionable because of the concussion he suffered late in the game. Yeah, he's questionable. Is listed as non-participant. He did not participate in Wednesday's practice. Tracy took Devin Singletary finished the night. He nonetheless faces an uphill battle. Yeah, it's highly likely, Kenny, that Tyrone Tracy will not play this weekend. Just to let you know, because it literally would be an uphill battle for him too. Like there's all this concussion protocol that you can't jam into normally just 1 week. Maybe if you played on a Thursday and then you don't play till that Sunday, you might be able to do it. Now, your other one you got was Tillman. I think Tillman is the go-to person for Jameis Winston. I think it was a great pickup, Kenny. He's someone that I'm very bold and talking a lot about. So I think that was a great pickup. So you did good there. Very, very, very good. So I think you probably improved your team. Obviously, I haven't seen who else you have, but I know that if you picked up those 2 guys, I think they're going to be putting in a 10-team league. I'm just going to repeat myself here. In a 10-team league, you want your wide receivers and running backs to get you 13 points, even in the flex position. You want your quarterback at 19 or over. You want your defense and kicker at 10. You want your tight end at 7 or over. That'll get you, if you just sort of follow that'll get you close to winning week in and week out. Now, you're not going to win every week because there's weeks like Alvin Kamara had that 43 points. So you're up against, sort of the fluke weeks of some of the players you might be up against. But if you can follow that formula, you're going to do well week in and week out. All right. Noon asked, I guess. I don't know. Trade Brooks and Murray for CD. I have Allen at quarterback and Hall, Bijan at running back. Trade Brooks and Murray for CD. All right. Well, yeah, I mean, I think Allen's offense, I think Buffalo's offense is has the momentum and is going upward. Okay. So I think that that's a really good thing to have Josh Allen at quarterback. Okay. Trading Kyler Murray. I'm assuming you don't have a backup anymore. And let's see. I just got to look. Thank you, Kenny, for the rose. I appreciate it. Josh Allen. What am I doing here? Okay. Thank you, Kenny. Oh, for the GG. Thank you. Now, the one thing to remember is Josh Allen has his bye in week 12. So his week is still coming up. His bye is. Fizzle Bomber on YouTube says Pittman. What about Pittman? Fizzle Bomber, just let me know. So you're going to need a quarterback in 3 weeks, okay? Or technically 3.5 weeks, but you know what I'm saying. So by trading him away, you're going to have to pick somebody up for that week. I don't know how many teams are in your league. I don't know how available some of these folks are, but trading away Murray means you're not going to have Murray. When it's time, when Allen is on a bye. Now, getting Bijan or having Bijan and Hall is good. Hall's a little inconsistent. I don't mind trading away Murray and Brooks. You're talking about Jonathan Brooks. He's kind of an unknown quantity right now. I keep hearing about how he's going to take away carries from Chuba Hubbard, but he hasn't even played yet. He just got okayed to play to begin with. So I think the trade's fine. You have Allen, but week 12 does worry me. I'm assuming that's probably not a playoff week for you, so you probably don't care. What if you lose that week? It's probably not a huge thing, I hope, but that is just something in the back of your head you should be thinking about. But yeah, all right. I hope I helped answer that. There's a Cade out there. Cade, where did Cade go? Cade fall. Okay, here we go. Who do you think I could get out of Ladd and Mike Evans? Don't need anything specific. Well, Mike Evans is still out, so that might be a problem. Sell high on Josh Jacobs or hold. Ask Kumo G. Okay, Kumo G, I'll get to you in just a second on YouTube. Oh, what happened to Cade? My whole thing I hate when this moves. I'm on TikTok, I'm on Twitch, I'm on everything. Oh, Kenny has more questions. Okay, Kenny, I will get to you again. Okay, I'm all over the map right now. And all my pens are running out of ink at the same time. Caden, what do you think getting Ladd and Mike Evans? I think that Mike Evans isn't probably going to play this week. You can probably get a little bit out of Ladd. You might be able to get like a Josh Jacobs, like that second tier or third tier. You sort of have Derrick Henry and maybe Saquon Barkley. Then you have Mixon, Walker, and like Josh Jacobs to me is sort of underneath them. And Kyron Williams would be with Mixon and Walker. And then you have Josh Jacobs, and then you kind of have like Rashad White, Bucky Irving, Madison with Las Vegas. So I think that's about all you could get. Okay. Real quick, Kenny, I'll get back to you in just 1 second. On YouTube, Kumo G, I would maybe not get rid of Josh Jacobs because he's the one person. Hey, Berto, thank you for the roses. Or Beto, Berto. What am I saying? Berto. I think that I would hold on Josh Jacobs unless you have other running backs, Kumo. That's all. Unless you have other running backs, you can trade him. But if you don't have other running backs, I would hold on him. I think Green Bay has a good offense. I think with Willis, he still gets points because Willis is going to quarterback at least this weekend. And I think obviously with Love, he gets points. So he's the one person on Green Bay that continually puts up points on a regular basis. You look at Jaden Reed, he's not putting up a lot of points because Jordan Love throws to so many people. He literally passes the love around, like literally. Willis, though, I think goes more to Jaden Reed, so it might be a real benefit to have Willis in at quarterback over Love, but Jacobs gets all the points. Okay, Kenny, Neighbors, London, Tillman, probably taking Higgins' spot. Okay, Neighbors, London, Tillman. Probably. Okay, so Kenny, are you saying which one of them should take Higgins' spot? I would go with Neighbors. Let me just see what Neighbors did last week. And I know CJ Young on YouTube, you have a question. Trade Hugh Johnston and Pacheco for Jay Ferguson and Bigsby, desperate at flex. Oy, you're really desperate. Ferguson and Bigsby? Bigsby is... I don't like always getting a tight end for flex, and I don't think that... let me look up Kenny again. my chat just totally moved. Sorry about that. And don't forget on TikTok, guys, to follow me, and also on YouTube, guys, don't forget to subscribe. I go live, well, starting next week, I'll go live Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, sometimes Friday, and then Saturdays. Thank you, Stephen Murphy, for the Dolphins. I love it. You're on the list. I got a lot to catch up to right now, guys. So I'm gonna be getting on some TikTok stuff, but see, okay, CJ Young on YouTube, real quick. Is there anybody on waivers that you could just pick up? Is there like could you get Otten on waivers? The tight end from Tampa Bay. Could you maybe get Tillman on waivers? I just think trading away Pacheco, you might be kicking yourself in about 2 weeks when he comes back. That's my initial thought. All right. We have Kenny. Caden is all over me. Okay, lineup. Nix, Chubb, Pollard, London, Neighbors, McBride, Tillman, Bears, Koo. Also got T. Higgins and Dottle. Okay. So your question, Kenny, is like who to play, I guess, right? Is that what I'm reading into this? All right. And CJ Young, I'll get to you in just a second here. I'm just looking up Kenny. I'll get to Stephen Murphy after I get to Berto, although I'm not seeing a question from Berto. So maybe Berto's just being super nice and sending roses, which I really do appreciate, Berto. I am all over the map tonight. And yes, CJ Young. Hey, Nathaniel. CJ Young is, I'll get back to you in just a second. Okay. Nix, Bo Nix, Chubb. Now, if you're in a 10-team league, Kenny, Chubb doesn't put up right now like 13 points, and that's what you want in a 10-team league. So he might be a little bit of a stretch. Pollard's fine. London had a bad week, but I expect him to bounce back. Neighbors, I think, had a pretty decent week. McBride's not a bad tight end. Tillman, I think, is really good from a flex perspective. He's been putting up good numbers for Cleveland since they got rid of Amari Cooper. Bears defense is not bad. Koo's not bad, although the last couple of weeks he hasn't put up 10 points or more like I like. All right. Now, T. Higgins, the problem with T. Higgins is he's probably not going to play this weekend, Kenny. So you're going to be stuck with whoever you have. The other problem with Dottle is they have like a three-headed monster with with the running backs in Dallas. I thought Dottle by now would be the number one running back in Dallas, but he had like 18 points like 2 or 3 weeks ago, and then his targets or touches or whatever you want to call it for a running back, not targets, that's wide receivers, but they were going down. And his numbers have gone down, and they used Ezekiel Elliott more last week. So I don't really know exactly what's going on with their running back. I heard a rumor, what to say, Wednesday, maybe on Monday, that maybe they're trying to get Chuba Hubbard from Carolina. I don't know if that's going to happen. I just heard that. It was probably just one of those things that somebody was saying. So T. Higgins might not be able to play. I think Neighbors in London are good. I think Tillman's good. I don't think you have to worry about Higgins. Dottle hasn't shown me anything. Let's just see what Dottle has the last couple of weeks, because I kind of stopped following him after Dallas didn't play him. So Dottle apparently wasn't in the game against San Francisco. In week 4, he had 12. In week 5, 18. Then he had 8 against Detroit. And I guess he didn't play against San Francisco. Oh, he had that illness. That's right. He is good to go. Okay, so he's going to play. The only thing about Dottle, though, is he had so many few points, and there's a three-headed monster there that it's almost unbelievable that they're able. He's not going to get a lot of touches. He's not going to get the ball enough. So I would leave your lineup, Kenny, the way it is for right now. Hopefully that made sense for you. All right. Berto, and then Stephen Murphy's. Dell or Worthy? You have to go Dell, only because he's the number one this week. I don't think Nico's coming. out of IR. Let me just double check. And Berto, I don't see your question, and there's one or two reasons for it. Either A, you didn't send one, or I guess there's three. You didn't send one, I didn't see it, or for some reason, sometimes TikTok like sends it out or doesn't use. Okay, okay, so Berto followed me. This confirmed that he gets more touches. Judy said Dottle gets more touches now on. Okay. Judy said, I'm confused. They revamped. What? Okay, I'm confused by that. Let me go back to Steven and then. Well, if you think Dottle's going to get more touches, if that's the word. Now they just said Dottle gets the most touches now. Okay, who said that? Because Dottle. Okay. I mean, moving forward, Dottle said he wanted to play through the illness, but he risk factor associated with high. I don't have any information that Dottle's going to get more touches. That could be the case. As of 4:00, I don't have it in the Roto World update for him, so that could be the case. I'm not seeing it. I'm not saying that you're a liar or anything like that, but I'm not seeing that. So that I would think that Dottle, in my mind, Dottle should get the most touches as the running back for Dallas right now, unless they trade for somebody. But I'm not seeing where that has been explicitly said. All right. I hope I answered that, Kenny. I know that. And then Stephen Murphy, I was answering, and then my ADHD's kicking in. They revamped. Wow. Okay. Where's Stephen? Steven. And please, guys on TikTok, don't spam me because it gets way out of control. And I'm probably not going to read it because when you spam me, it's not really that cool. All right. Kenny has another question. Tillman or Jacoby Myers? I would go Tillman. I don't think Myers doesn't have any analytics to tell me that he should be starting over Tillman. Plus, I mean, he had 14 points against Kansas City. He didn't play. He had 10 points. He's very, very, very inconsistent. They don't have much of a quarterback or offense in Las Vegas. At least with Jameis Winston, Cleveland beat Baltimore. That was a big win. I mean, it would have been like if Vegas beat Kansas City almost. Maybe not quite, but pretty close to that. So that's why, Kenny, I would go with Tillman. All right. Stephen Murphy, where are you? Worthy or Dell? I would go with Dell because he's the number one. And with Hopkins and Kelsey and obviously Worthy, Worthy has not been putting up consistent points. Dell has not, but Dell's the number one. It's going to be all Stroud has to throw to. I was trying to look up Nico Collins. And then I got to jump over to YouTube for a second. But Nico Collins, let's just see. On track to return. So Nico Collins isn't even going to return till next week, if and when he returns at the earliest. So yeah, I would go with Dell just because my guess is Stroud is going to have to throw to him because he's the number one option, and he was the number 3, then he was the number 2, now he's the number 1, and so he's at least aware of him, and he should be part of that offense. But Worthy has not been putting up consistent points on a regular basis. Okay. Let's see. CJ Young. Okay, Gabriel, don't spam everybody. I have Love picked up Stafford, but I don't know if Conscious Machine is still there. Okay, Gabriel, don't spam everybody. Nobody likes that. Best flip. Okay, so CJ Young, if you're still there on YouTube, I'm just looking at that right now. I think we're all caught up on the gifts on TikTok, but you will move to the front of the line. CJ Young, I know, has been waiting. I think someone else has left. on YouTube. Raheem Mostert are the best flex options in waivers. I lost Diggs, so I need a flex now. Trading Q Johnson and Pacheco for Ferguson and Bigsby. Well, if you're desperate at flex, at least Bigsby gives you an alternative. Let me just see. Let me just look at Bigsby, CJ. Hold on 1 second. Now, Bigsby's questionable. He was limited in Wednesday's practice, so you want to know if he practices tomorrow and or Friday. He's got to probably get at least one full practice in. Usually what they do is he'll be limited tomorrow and then have a full practice on Friday, or he may not even practice tomorrow and have a full practice on Friday so he can play in the game. At least with Bigsby, you know that he's going to probably give you a decent amount of points. Now, 3 weeks ago, he only had 2.4, but 4 weeks ago, he had 25. 2 weeks ago, he had 23. And last week, he had 9.6. They're going up against Philadelphia. Let me just look up Philadelphia's run defense real quick. Philadelphia's run defense, the Eagles have a number 8 run defense. So, I don't know that Tank Bigsby is going to have that much better of a day than maybe 9 or 10 points, but it sounds like you might need that. All right. I hope I helped answer that a little bit. All right. YouTube also, I received Brees and DJ Moore. Give up Brian Robinson, Dell, and Ladd. Do I do it? I received Brees and DJ Moore. Okay, DJ Moore. Brees has not been consistent, Travesty. Brees has not. You're welcome, CJ Young. Thank you for coming. Don't forget, guys, on YouTube to subscribe and like this live. I really appreciate it. If you're on TikTok, I need more followers. Come on, we only have 23. My goal on TikTok is to get to 50 tonight. So if you're watching this and you like it a little bit, you're listening, hit that follow button so you know when I'm on. Okay, Travesty. I like Brian Robinson a lot. Tank Dell has to get better or he's out. Now, Ladd is inconsistent. He'll have 25 points and then he'll have 5 points. But I think that's just sort of something to do with the Chargers offense more than anything else. Brees and DJ Moore for Brian Robinson, Dell. See, the problem of it is Dell and Ladd are highly inconsistent. So giving up Brees, now Brees has been somewhat inconsistent over the last 4 weeks where he's gotten like single digits. So that worries me. But DJ Moore isn't bad. Brian Robinson, let me look him up real quick. I think he's been doing okay. I always get him and Brian Thomas Jr. Yeah, I mean, Brian Robinson had 8 points, 13 points, didn't play 13. I mean, Brian Robinson is pretty consistent. So if you're going to get a running back, it's not bad to get Brian Robinson. He's not going to put up Brees numbers, but since you're getting Dell and Ladd, that's sort of the give. And it sounds like you might need more wide receivers because you're getting 2 and you're giving away 1 that's better than them. So I don't think it's a bad idea. I just don't like the fact that Dell and Ladd are so inconsistent when I think DJ Moore has been a little bit more consistent. Let's just see here. Well, he's only had 4, 25, 9, 11. Okay. Yeah, he's had 4 points the last 2 games. So, you know what? You're probably getting a good deal because Brian Robinson, because Brees is so inconsistent, Brian Robinson. Ryder, you will be next. Thank you for the donut. Will Moriarty, you will be next too. So my guess on that one, Travesty, is it's a good trade because DJ Moore is not putting up good numbers at all. And, you know, Dell and Ladd have been inconsistent. So, yeah, I think if you get Brian Robinson and Dell and Ladd, it's a good deal for you. So I would definitely do that. All right. Let's go to Ryder. Ryder sent over a donut. That always makes me hungry. Do I start Puka, Tyreek, or DeAndre Swift? Okay. Let's look them up. This is where I go into the analytics and then I go into context, who they're playing. Puka plays Seattle interdivisional. He had a good game. Oh man, did that just okay? Tyreek, Puka, Tyreek. I'm just writing this down. Or Swift. Now, initially, I want to say Swift, but let me just look that up. I always kind of err on the side of a running back because I think it's easier for them, sort of, because they get handed the ball and it doesn't rely on the quarterback so much. Now, Tyreek Hill plays Buffalo. Now, Buffalo they're almost a different team. Like their defense is better and they haven't even made any real additions to their defense per se. So I don't love the matchup with Tyreek Hill. Plus, he only had 10 points last week. Now he could, get 20 or something like that, but there's nothing right now saying that will be the case. Now let me look at Swift. Oh boy, this thing makes me spell everything perfectly. Okay. I mean, Swift goes up against Arizona. Let me look at Arizona's run defense. Let me just make sure I'm in run defense. Okay. The Cardinals run defense, 26 out of 32. I would go with Swift only because he's been very steady the last 4 or 5 weeks. He puts up a high number. He's had 18, 19, 19, 26 since week 4. Week 4 on 26, 19, 19, 18. So that's why I would go with Swift because he puts up a good high number every week. I mean, 18 points is like excellent. It's like an A++, 13 to like 18 or 13 to 17, let's say, on a running back or wide receiver is above average. But then when you get into 18, 19, 20, you're talking an A++ way. So I would go with Swift on that one, Ryder. No doubt about it. From a context, he's not playing a great run defense. He's been putting up solidly points right around 20. So that's been really big. So that's why I would go with Swift. All right. Derek, I will try to get to you on YouTube, but for right now, it's Will Moriarty. If I can, okay. Pickens or Metcalf rest of the season? If Metcalf wins the deal, who are some good targets to get? Okay. Let me look up Metcalf. I know that he's injured, and I don't even think he's going to play, but I could be wrong about that. Metcalf won't practice Monday. Okay. Metcalf didn't practice last week. McDonald's optimism should probably be taken with a grain of salt, especially with a bye week coming up after Sunday's game and then 2 more divisional plays. So my guess is there's a good chance since he didn't practice. You'll have to look at DK Metcalf's, the little notes by his name, but it's probably a really good chance that he probably won't play this weekend. So if you're talking about the rest of the season, then he's on a bye. So you really won't be able to pick up or put Metcalf in probably till week 11. I'm just saying that to be clear. I like Pickens a lot. And with Russell Wilson, I believe his value has gone up. I think he had let me not think. Let me just tell you. It's better when I don't think. That's what everybody says. So, okay. Salman Tahir, you can just type in who you have on your team. Like who you just put in the last names. All right. He had 19 points and 9 points over the last 2 weeks with Russell Wilson as the quarterback. And I think, didn't he get a touchdown called back or some ridiculousness too? I think Pickens is a good start. Now, let me see. I think Pickens might be a better choice than Metcalf. I can't believe I'm saying that, but with Russell Wilson as the quarterback, see, the problem of it is rest of the season, Russell Wilson has to be the quarterback for Pickens to have value. If they go back to Justin Fields, George Pickens doesn't have the same value. He didn't put up the same kind of numbers. Okay, so I go with Pickens as long as Wilson is. I know that's not quite the answer you want, but it's not an apples to apples comparison. And Metcalf, 2 weeks ago, I guess when he got injured, he was having a good game. He had 1 touchdown, 99 yards, but he also had 2 flops in there. I mean, Seattle's offense isn't without its issues. Let's just put it that way. I don't think Geno Smith is maybe the best passer in the world, and that's kind of the problem. So, all right. I think, thank you. Will Moriarty says, thank you for supporting me. Thank you. All right. So Salmon Tahir on YouTube has Hall, Brees Hall, Chuba Hubbard, Kareem Hunt, Debo, BTJ. Thank you for the 99 cents, Salmon Tahir on YouTube. And Downs. Tillman, Shakir need to trade someone. Oh, so you're going to use... Oh, TikTok is making me do their stupid little live stream puzzles, which I did. Thank you. All right. So on TikTok, we're all caught up on the GIFs. I'm on YouTube just for a second. My man, Salman Tahir, sent me a 99 cent super chat. Okay. So Brees Hall, Hubbard. So no. Okay. Here's a couple things, Salman. Brees Hall's a little inconsistent. Okay. So you have Hall, Hubbard. Okay. Brees Hall's been a little inconsistent. Hubbard may lose touches because Jonathan Brooks has been taken off the injured reserve. And so that might affect him. I heard, and you might not have heard this, you hate Hall, Hubbard, and Hunt right now and have Pacheco on IR. I actually think Hunt has been putting up good numbers and been consistent. And if you have Pacheco, Hunt's probably he's obviously a good alternative because he's putting up the numbers and he's the backup for Pacheco. So I like you having Hunt. Hubbard's carries are going to go down because of Jonathan Brooks becoming part of the fold. All right. Now, Debo, is Debo even going to play? Didn't he get hurt again? Let me just look. I mean, these guys, yeah, he's questionable. He has a ribs oblique. He's considered day-to-day, but aren't we all? That's a Vince Scully joke. They won't take the field again until week 10. They're on a bye. So you can't even play Debo this week. BTJ and Downs and Tillman, Shakir need to trade someone. Well, you could theoretically try to trade Debo. And the reason why I'm saying that is a lot of times people look at a name and they know Debo and they're like, "Ooh, I can get Debo." When Tyreek was having, not putting up great numbers, a lot of people were trading for Tyreek, and I was saying why he doesn't have any value. But I would say that you might want to try Debo, maybe even BTJ. Brian Thomas has pretty good numbers. Downs numbers are decent. Tillman, probably not a lot of people know Tillman. You can try to put him in a trade, but I don't know if anybody will jump because I don't think, like, if you put Debo and Hall together, you might be able to get like a Mixon or a Walker if you suggest it for the right person. You don't like Hall and you don't like Hunter Hubbard, but Hunt's probably giving you the most points on a consistent basis out of those 3 guys. I would maybe go Debo and Hall for like a Mixon or Walker because Debo's not really putting up. I mean, he's not doing great. Downs and Tillman are probably having their last 2 weeks have probably been better. Shakir's not been bad at all either. I like Keon Coleman. He's been good over there, but let me just look up Shakir real quick. I know he had decent numbers. Yeah, he had 10 and 15, not quite where Keon Coleman is, but fairly close. So I would try to trade Hall and Debo and get like a Mixon or Kyron Williams, maybe a Kenneth Walker. He puts up big numbers. You could trade. I'm just trying to think. You could maybe go maybe Shakir. Like if you found a guy that has a lot of running backs, you could maybe package up Shakir and Downs for like a Josh Jacobs, maybe for Green Bay. You could maybe do a straight up trade with like, I don't know, Downs or BTJ, or well, not BTJ, but Downs Will Moriarty, thank you for the finger heart. Yeah, you gave me a couple of them. Do you have, okay, Olave, a better target than Pickens. All right. So Salman Tahir, I'll get to you in just one second, William Moriarty or Will Moriarty. Let me just finish up with Salman. Yeah, so maybe Josh Jacobs for those two guys, a Mixon or Kyron Williams for like a Debo and Hall. That's probably off the top of my head. Those are probably good moves. You could always try like Shakir for like Bucky Irving with Tampa Bay if you want to go the route of like a running back, but I don't really think you need a running back per se. I mean, you have a decent core. You have like the B players in all that list. So, Will Moriarty, another donut and a ghost. All right. So I hope I helped, Salman. If I didn't, please feel free to send me a direct message. Or Salman, I think you said you followed me on TikTok. Send me a DM on TikTok. It's the same as Sideline Fans or at Sideline Fans. So you follow me on TikTok. So send me a DM if you have anything else, because I want to be able to help you out and I want to make sure that I answered everything. And Derek on YouTube, if you're still there, I will try to get you. Just let me know that you're still there. But right now I'm going to jump to Will Moriarty. Thank you. Okay. Will Moriarty. Where was it? John's back. That's good. Sure, man. Thank you. Okay. Olave, a better target than Pickens if I'm looking to give up DK. Well, the thing with Olave is well, let me look at the last 2 weeks. The thing with Olave is they don't have a quarterback right now. I think Derek Carr's still out. And he's been inconsistent as it is. Okay, so like if you look at Olave, let's just look at the last 4 games. 14 -1, 2, 12.7. Now 14 and 12.7 are good. You round up to 12.7, but that's 2 of the 4 weeks. And in the other 2 weeks, he had a -1. So he cost your team another point. And he only had 2 points. Those are miserable numbers to put up. Okay. I think people were probably looking at Olave and New Orleans from the beginning of the season, which is a little misguided, if you will. Okay, Derek, you're still there. I'll get you Loggy Bear on I'm also on TikTok. Guys, I'm on TikTok, Twitch, and YouTube. Loggy Bear will be after Will. So what I'm thinking, where did you go? Where did you go, Will? This thing moves. Carr back this week, I think. Okay. But I don't know that their offense is back this week. You know what I mean? John has more questions. I will get to you. Sutton or Higgins? Loggy Bear, I don't know that Higgins is going to play. You might have to play Sutton. You're going to have to check and see if Higgins, did I say Huggins? I'm looking at Sutton. You might have to go with Sutton because Higgins might not be able to play. I don't know that he's going to play this week. All right. Olave a better target than Pickens if I'm looking to give up DK. I think Pickens with Russell Wilson is the better pick. Okay. Now you might push back and say, maybe Olave gave you a lot of points at the beginning of the season. He's not putting up consistent numbers now. Now Derek Carr comes back. My number one question, I'm not going to make a big deal out of it though, is does he have any rust? He probably doesn't, but maybe it takes him a quarter or a half to get the rust off. Okay. That aside, I'm not going to make that a big deal. I was making that a big deal before with people, and I think it was stupid on my part. But what I will say is I'm not sold that Olave. Let me just look at this real quick. Let me look at the depth charts. Yeah, he is the number one. That's what I thought. Yeah, Rashid Shaheed is injured reserve. So, if Derek Carr comes back, let's just see what they say. You said you think he comes back. If Derek Carr comes back, you might be able to put Olave in. The only thing that I'm worried about is, Okay, let's see. Oblique had his reps limited at Wednesday's practice, but it's still expected to start this Sunday. Okay, so Derek Carr is expected to start this Sunday. Okay, he was limited at practice, but it's only Wednesday. He needs probably one full practice. If he doesn't get it tomorrow, he'll probably get it on Friday. Then they just don't make these guys practice every day like they used to. All right, so let me. So the way I'm looking at it is, Will, is that with Pickens and Olave, I like the Pickens Russell Wilson connection. However, Pickens only had 9.6 points in a 10-team league. You want to get to 13, so he wasn't quite there, and that was a little upsetting to me. Okay, so there's that, but I like that combination. My question is, will Carr and Olave have like for instance, okay, when Puka came back for the Rams and Kupp came back. Now I know that Kupp got 13 points, but 6 of those points came from his touchdown. If you take that, and that touchdown you could actually say Stafford made because he avoided getting tackled. Okay, that was a great play that Stafford made. Stafford really made that work. If you look at Kupp compared to Puka in that game, Puka came out like he didn't miss a beat, like he played in every game. Kupp did not. And so I'm saying to you, what will Derek Carr be like? Will he be more Puka or will he be more Kupp? And I know they're different positions. I could even say when Russell Wilson came back after the big layoff, it took him almost a half to get up. But I know that Russell Wilson has been out longer than Derek Carr. Okay. But Carr has been out 3 weeks. So he probably has a little bit of rust for game speed and all that. Now, I don't know. The way I look at it is I would use Pickens because the last 2 weeks I can kind of figure out what he's going to get. And with Olave, it's a little bit of an unknown. But if you like Olave, then, and he's done you right the first couple of weeks of the season, I think you can go there. I think you can put him in. He's a little bit more of a gamble. If you're okay with gambling, put Olave in. If you want something steady, but it might be 9.6 points. It might be 11 points. It might not get you 13. I would put Pickens in. That's the way I would kind of do it. I'm not going to say this one or that one. I'm not like typical guys on TikTok. I would say that Pickens is a little bit more steady. Olave could have a real high ceiling or an upside, but it's a little unknown, and that's what worries me. I'm not 100%. I'd love to have these two guys have a game under their belt, and then I could say something, like, oh, they're both up to speed. But they're not. All right. Real quick, Loggy Bear, and thank you again, Will Moriarty. I really appreciate it. And again, guys, on TikTok especially, send me a DM if you have questions or you're pissed at me. I don't care. Like, send it to me. I'd love a good, debate, and we can talk things out. I don't know if Bob's still around. I do that with Bob all the time. I enjoy that. I do it with Aiden all the time. So a couple of my and Beto's another guy that I do that with all the time. I don't think he's been on tonight, but okay. Sutton or Higgins? Let me look up Higgins real quick because I think this might be a fait accompli because I don't know. Unless something changed with Higgins, I didn't think he was going to play this week. But let me check that out. And then I'll get to you, Derek. I'm sorry to make you wait. Wow, we've really gone downhill on YouTube. I don't even know if Bub means banged up. Saints should have a decent week versus Panthers. Dropped 40 on them week 1. Carr returned this week, most likely. Yeah, Carr is returning. Derek still nowhere. Okay. All right. Bengals head coach Zach Taylor said Higgins day-to-day on Monday, though he could return to practice, ultimately play. He didn't. Okay, so T. Higgins didn't practice today. So he's got to get a full practice in before he can be able to play on Sunday. It's just kind of, it's not like, I don't think it's a rule per se, but I think that's what they want their players so that they know that they're physically able to play on a Sunday. So look for his injury report for T. Higgins tomorrow and Friday. If he's not able to go, obviously you have to go with Sutton. But let me look up Sutton real quick. I like T. Higgins a lot. I think that the Bengals offense is much better than it was earlier in the season. Okay. Okay. Cortland Sutton. Let me just Denver. Okay, so he's the number 1 wide receiver. Okay. Bo Nix is a good quarterback. I like T. Higgins. If he's healthy, I like T. Higgins over Sutton. For some reason, Sutton's ceiling, the most points he scored in a week is 13.5. And the last 4 games, I'm not sure if he played 2 weeks ago or not. He had 0 points. I don't know if he wasn't targeted or maybe he sat out, but he's had 13, 13 and 4.2, 13, 10, 3.1 and 5.8. So rather inconsistent, and he's just getting you at that 13 points, which is fine. I mean, at least he's consistent. He's getting you that 13 points, Cortland Sutton. But if T. Higgins can go, I would play Higgins over Sutton because I think that's Burrow's number 1 target. Okay, Derek, I don't know if you're still around. I'm hoping you are. What was your question? Carr returning this week? Most likely, yes. Saints should have a decent week. Yes. Derek, trade Josh Allen and Monty for Saquon. I have Dak as my backup or could add. Well, I don't know why you would trade Josh Allen. I don't know why you would get rid of Josh Allen for Dak and have Dak as your number 1 quarterback. Dak's not putting up very good numbers. The offense is not great in Dallas. Their defense is horrible. Not that that matters entirely, but it does change the complexion of the game and the way that the games go. So there is that. You could add Stroud or Tua. Okay. I'm 5-3. My running backs are Chan, Gibbs, Monty. That's good. Wide receivers are Garrett Wilson, Higgins, who might not play. Reed, Jaden Reed has not been putting up great points. Deontay just got traded. Shakir has been pretty good the last 2 weeks. Deontay, I don't know that Deontay being traded to Baltimore. I said this earlier. I don't know if Deontay being traded to Baltimore is that great of a thing for Deontay. And here's what I mean by that, okay? Baltimore has not lost any wide receivers. They haven't been injured. They haven't been traded, okay? So they still have Likely. They still have Andrews as their 2 top tight ends. They still have Bateman. They still have Flowers. So he's not necessarily filling in a position the way Hopkins was, the way I guess Amari Cooper kind of did with Buffalo. They needed that strong number 1. And I think getting Amari Cooper has opened it up for Shakir and Keon Coleman. And so that's been a very positive thing. So I would not get rid of Josh Allen. I think he's going to put up really good numbers. But like, I would maybe give up Monty. Okay. But Monty for Saquon, you're not going to be able to do. So maybe you can do, Garrett Wilson. Could you do Garrett Wilson, Dak, and Monty? I just hate giving up Josh Allen because I think Josh Allen, let me look up Josh Allen compared to Dak real quick. And then I'll go back to TikTok. Josh Allen had 20, 21, 24, 14. I mean, he's putting up 20 every week. And in a 10-team league, that's exactly what you want. So, like, Josh Allen is kind of like what we used to say is like money. Like he's going to give you 20 points every week. That's what you want. And surprisingly, Mayfield's been doing that all season. Now, Prescott is all over 15, 5, 18, 16, 29. You're not going to get those points from Dak Prescott. Look at the analytics. They're just not there. You're not going to be able. Prescott can't step in for Josh Allen. So you're taking a tumble from there. Okay. Now you're going up with Saquon, but I'm saying with your quarterback, Dak doesn't even put up 18 or more points very often. 15, 5, 18, 16, the last 4 games. Okay. Then he had 29, but then he had 14, 11. You want your quarterback in a 10-team league to get 18 or more points, preferably 20 points every week. That's what Josh Allen's doing. That's not what Dak's doing. It's going to hurt your team. Now you're getting Saquon, but if you look at Saquon, don't get fooled by the names, guys, because sometimes people say, oh, I want this guy, I want that guy. I want, people were trying to get Tyreek, and I'm like, Tyreek doesn't have any value. Look at Saquon Barkley last 4 games, okay? 11. So average, 25, off the charts, great. 6.4, well below average, bad, and 12.6. Now, he did get 31 in week 3. He got 32 in week 1, but he hasn't. What I'm saying is, okay, let's look at Saquon versus Monty. And I know Monty had the one bad week because he was injured. But let's just look at these numbers, okay? So Montgomery, last 4 weeks, 14, 6.5, 20, 14.5. So 3 of the 4 weeks, he's gotten you 13 or more points, okay? Singletary, 11.6, 25.7, 6.4, 12.6. We'll round up to 12.6 and say it's 13. So 2 of the 4 weeks, Barkley has gotten you over 13. Now, he did get you 25, but Montgomery did get you 20, and he had 14 the other 2 weeks. So my point here, Derek, is I don't think that that's a great trade. I think you're giving up too much. Yeah, but Dak doesn't. I mean, Dak could do whatever he does. He doesn't have the same team he had last year. Dak does not have the same team. They're going to be down by a lot. He's going to have to pass the ball. They don't have a good defense. They don't have a good pass defense, which means the other team's going to put up a lot of points, which is going to force Prescott to pass more. And he doesn't. I mean, they're going to put everybody on CD. They're not going to have a full offense. I don't personally like that trade. If you could disagree with me, and I'm A-okay with that. But, the great schedule and all that, I don't know. I mean, that plays into it a little bit, but why did New England beat Baltimore? Or why did Cleveland beat Baltimore? Why did New England beat the Jets? Are the Jets not any good? Maybe they're not. Is Baltimore no good? I think they are good. But why did Cleveland beat them? They're not very good. They didn't have a lot going on offensively. So my point is, I'm not worried about schedule. It's the NFL. It's any given Sunday. Like Chicago has the toughest schedule the remainder of the season. Okay. So in the back of your head, you should be thinking about that, but I wouldn't make that the sole reason you do something, if that makes sense. Anyway, if you want to make that trade, Derek, make that trade. You don't have to please, you don't have to listen to me. There's no gun to your head doing that. So, all right, Jose's here. Hey, Jose, how are you? Good to have you on board. I hope I helped, Derek. I know that it's probably not what you necessarily wanted to hear, but that's kind of what I'm thinking. All right, Dell or McConkey? Yeah, that's a great question. I always get great questions, but Jose, that's a very good question. All right. I got all these things lined up. Tomorrow's Halloween. That's a scream. That sucked. Let's see. Here we go. Spooky, if you guys can hear it. You probably can't hear it on YouTube because I'm using a microphone for YouTube. Dell had 11.5, 0, 15, 5, but he's been the second wide receiver. And it was McConkey. And Lad McConkey has been very inconsistent, and I don't love that. Am I spelling this wrong? Oh, I'm the first person that said no. Well, okay, that's fine. I don't think I think people look at names and they don't, they see Saquon Barkley, but Saquon Barkley the last 4 weeks is, you could make the argument that Montgomery probably has had a better 4 weeks than Saquon Barkley points wise. I mean, it's fantasy. That's all that matters. Saquon Barkley is probably the better running back, but he's not putting up the points. And probably part of that is because Hurts got back Brown and Smith. Yeah, McConkey's been crazy all over the map. 26, 7, 6, 15, 5, 3, 12 going backwards. So he's highly inconsistent. And he goes up against Cleveland. But as you know, Baltimore lost to Cleveland last week, and they're playing in Cleveland. Tank Dell plays the Jets. What is the Jets offense? Or pass defense, rather. The Jets pass defense is supposedly number 2, meaning they give up the lowest number of points per game, lowest number of yards per game. So that's why I'm thinking that might be a tough matchup. Yeah, I mean, Cleveland. Let me look up Cleveland. I know they have a good. The Browns are number 12 pass defense. So on this one, I'm probably going to say McConkey. There's a lot of unknowns with Tank Dell, and because they're playing the Jets, which are a really good passing defense, it might be tougher for Dell to, get open. They're probably going to work him pretty well. So that's what I'm thinking there. All right. Let's see. Yeah, I would go with McConkey on that one based on matchups. All right. So if you're on YouTube, don't forget to hit subscribe and hit that like button. If you're on TikTok, hit that like button. We have 3,600 likes. We only have 33 follows. Come on. If you're watching this, hit that follow button. That way you know when I'm on. That way I can get to more of your questions. It's tough with the YouTube folks. But I've been pretty lucky with a bunch over here. So let's see. All right. We're all caught up on gifts on TikTok. So if you have a question you want to get answered, the easiest way to do it is to follow me or have gifted in the past. Those are kind of that's that like level 2 group. So if you follow me, so Gavin followed me. What is Gavin's question? I swear I've had Gavin's every time I'm on. Gavin, I'm not seeing a question, man. I'm sorry. Let's see. Oh, Gavin, there you go. Yo, where did he go? He just jumped. God, I hate that. I wish this chat didn't jump so much. Where's Gavin? It was Trey McBride or Cade Otton. I think you're maybe answering yourself. Gavin, would you start Trey McBride or Cade Otton this week? I would start Otton. Otton had 24 points last week. What makes you think that he's going to change? He might not get 24, but he had 14 the week before. I think he's going to have 14 again. He's the number 1 option for Baker Mayfield, and I think it's going to continue. Now they play the Chiefs, but as you know, or maybe you don't know, I mean, Baker Mayfield does win with his legs or does play, he can run. And so that's always an option in there as well. So you might want to think about that when nobody thought that Baker Mayfield would have a good week last week when his 2 top wide receivers were out and he ended up getting 24 points. So do I think that he's going to get 24 points again against a very stingy Kansas City defense? No, but I do think that he could get 20. I think he might throw 2 touchdown passes, and one of them probably will be to Cade Otton. I mean, Cade Otton, this matchup is tough, but let's see. You said McBride, right? Or Otton? Where the heck did you go? Okay, McBride. Let me just look up McBride real quick. Sometimes I get to talking and I talk myself in and out of things. Well, McBride's up against Chicago. Chicago has a pretty good pass defense as well. The Bears passing defense is number 11. The Chiefs passing defense is number 17. But for some reason, the Chiefs defense overall just seems better than that if you watch their games, and I get a lot of them in St. Louis here because it's the same state. So Bears are 11, Chiefs are 17 for yards per game. The Bears have given up only 5 touchdowns passing, and the Chiefs have given up just 9 touchdown passing. Now there's teams that have 12, 13, 16, past 17, 15, 14 passing touchdowns so far. So yeah, I think that that I would probably go with Otten because neither one of them have a really good matchup this weekend. And at least with Kansas City, with Baker Mayfield and being able to run, he has his legs to get out of some of the issues. He's going to throw the ball. We know that people come out of the backfield like Irving and White, and we know that Otten they use, and they haven't used Jalen McMillan that much, but maybe they will against the Chiefs. All right, let's see. As I've said, tonight I'm on YouTube, Twitch, although I don't have a big presence there, and TikTok. If you want your questions read next, send a rose or a heart on TikTok. You can post your message on YouTube, and I'll try to get to it. Let's see. But please, if you're watching on anything on YouTube, please hit that subscribe button so you know when I'm on. I'll be on tomorrow night. Also, if you're on TikTok, hit that follow button. I have 37 follows. I want to try to get to 50. That's my goal tonight. I'm trying to get a bigger count and help people out. So I'm thinking, let's get to 50. We're at 37 right now, and it's a free way to get your questions answered. So it does pay. All right. I see a lot of folks. Devin Rockefeller followed. Where's Devin Rockefeller? Jacobs and Amari for B-Rob and Ridley. Brian Robinson and Ridley. Brian Robinson. Amari hasn't done. He had one good week 2 weeks ago. Jacobs is pretty good. Robinson Jr. is good, but somewhat inconsistent. 8, 13, didn't play. 13, 18, 10, 14, 16. He was very, very consistent. Then he sat out, and then he had 8 points against Chicago. But I think Brian Robinson Jr. will bounce back. Let me look up Ridley real quick. He's questionable, just to let you know. He's very inconsistent. They don't have much of an offense. Where did you go? B-Rob and Ridley. So really it's B-Rob and Jacobs, and then what's thrown in is Amari and Ridley. So you need... So Jacobs... Okay, so the screen just moved on me, darn it. Gosh darn it. I think I'm winding down. I've been on almost an hour 40. Okay, here's the thing, Rockefeller. How does this make your team better? Like, Jacobs is having a pretty good season, and you get Brian Robinson Jr. I don't know that it makes your team better, because I would argue that Jacobs is better than B-Rob, and Amari and Ridley are kind of the same. I wouldn't do that trade. I would keep Jacobs. If you're getting Jacobs and Amari, you're winning this deal, because Jacobs is just a little bit better than B-Rob from a consistency standpoint over the last 4 weeks. And I think that Green Bay Washington has a good offense, but it really runs through their quarterback. But I mean, Jacobs has a higher ceiling. He scored more points this year. He had 25 points. I just think having Jacobs and Amari in this trade is better, Devin. So, all right. Let's see, anything YouTube? Nothing. All right. Who has followed me? Who's a former gifter? Let's look. All right, guys. Don't forget to follow me on TikTok. We're up to 38 followers. I need to get 12 more. JC followed me. What is JC's question? Montgomery or Brian Robinson Jr.? Well, I have Brian Robinson up here. He's against the Giants. They played the Giants. He had 14 points in week 2. Now, that's a long time ago. You know, I don't think the Giants. I mean, I think Brian Robinson could definitely get 14. And you had Montgomery, right? Because it just jumped on me. So I have to look it up again. They go up against Green Bay. How's Green Bay's run defense? Green Bay, the Packers' run defense is number 10. The Giants' run defense. Giants' run defense is number 27. So I would say that Brian Robinson, if he plays, because he's questionable right now, he was limited at practice, so you'll have to make sure he participates in a full practice by Friday. But I would go with Robinson based on the matchup on that one, based on the matchup. All right, don't forget to hit follow on TikTok, guys. I have 39. I'm trying to get to 50. Trying to get to 50. All right. Anybody else on YouTube? I'm not seeing too many people. So I don't know. I guess that's the way I'm looking at it. Let's see. All right. If you want to jump to the front of the line, if you want to get that golden ticket, you can send me a gift on TikTok. Let's see here. Or right now we're up to date on all the gifting. So if you want to get your questions answered, you can either be a former gifter or you can follow me. I'm just looking something up real quick here. All right. Who has followed me? Okay. Nico and Jacob had followed me. Nico, Waddle or Tank? Ooh, great question. I think Waddle did not do so well last week. I thought that he would because, oh, wait, Tyreek ended up playing, didn't he? But I don't think Waddle put up. I'm leaning. He had 6.5. Dell had 11. I'm leaning towards Dell because he's the number 1 and Waddle still has Tyreek in front of him. That's the basic reason right now because who else is Stroud going to throw to but Dell? I mean, it's like he has to be open. He has to go and get the ball. He has to be targeted and catch the ball. Waddle only had 6 points. I thought, even with Tyreek back, maybe he would get a few more than that, but he did not. So, all right. Jacob. Hubbard or Connor? Let me look up both of them. Connor plays Chicago. That's going to be a tough matchup. Hubbard had 8 points against Denver, but they're a pretty good defense. Let's just see what they play. New Orleans. What's New Orleans' run defense? Hold on. The Saints run defense is 28 out of 32. So okay, I'm going to give you something here. If Jonathan Brooks plays, who's the other running back now who just got okayed to play, if Jonathan Brooks plays, it may drastically lower the value of Chuba Hubbard. Maybe not drastically. I'm being a little dramatic, but it might lower what Chuba does. So if Jonathan Brooks plays, and let me just see if it says for sure if he plays or not, you almost might have to start James Conner because of it. Like even though he's playing Chicago, what is the Bears run defense? Bears run defense is number 14 out of 32. And Saints, like I said, are 28. So it's a better matchup that Carolina has. Hey, smiley face with the teeth is here. All right, I'll get to you next. Thank you. Okay, so I like the matchup that Carolina has, although if Brooks plays, I'm looking up Brooks. That's right. Jonathan Brooks, let's just see what it says. Brooks was a full participant in Wednesday's practice, which means he's probably going to play. Oh, the real Zeke will be after smiley face. Thank you for the gifts, both of you. The real Zeke. Okay, so here's the thing. Jonathan Brooks. Oh, well, Bryce Young is the quarterback. Oh, Bryce Young's the quarterback again, apparently this weekend for Carolina. Ugh. Yes, I would not play Chuba at all. I would play James Conner no matter what. I just think with Bryce Young, nobody really has a good day. So yeah, I would start Conner. All right, smiley face with the teeth, my man. He always makes me laugh. That little, I'm going the wrong way because I have a Mac and I have a Microsoft or Windows computer in their mouses. I see the real Zeke. Where's smiley face? Kyler and D. Smith for Swift. Is it even? I have Daniels and Puka, Nico, Terry, Tillman, D-Hop. Yeah, I would do that deal. If you have all those, you have Daniels. Has Daniels have they had their bye, or is it this week? I can't keep up with the buys. The buy is 14, so Daniels probably has a buy during the playoffs. That's the only thing about that trade that I don't like, smiley face with the teeth. That's the only thing I don't like about that trade is you're giving up Kyler. Kyler puts up decent numbers, and Daniels is out week 14. Week 14 probably is the first round of the playoffs or maybe second round, depending upon what type of league you're in. So you won't have Daniels. So I like the trade, but is there a way that, can you pick somebody up maybe off waivers as a backup quarterback if you make that trade? I think it's a good trade. I think Swift, is putting up good numbers again for what it's worth. And I don't really fall prey to this too much, but Swift and the Chicago Bears have technically the hardest schedule the rest of the year, but like I always say, it's, in the NFL, it's week to week. Cleveland beat Baltimore. The Jets lost to New England. I mean, these are things that, you know, people didn't think would happen, but they did. So there are upsets. There are crazy things. I mean, look, what if Tampa Bay beat Kansas City this weekend? That would be an upset on many, many levels. But yeah, that's the only thing. I think it's a good trade, Kyler and D. Smith for Swift. I think it's a good trade. I just don't like the fact that you're leaving yourself in the lurch potentially for a playoff run. But if you're okay with that, then go ahead with it. All right, the real Zeke. Trade Connor and Zay or Connor and Olave for CD and Amari Cooper. Well, it sounds like you then need wide receivers. If you trade Connor, I'm assuming you have other running backs to fill a hole that Connor may leave. I'm guessing you have Connor as a starter. If he's on your bench, then you have one heck of a uh, running core, running back team, whatever you want to call it, running back core, I guess. So, yeah, I mean, I think if you go either one, Connor Olave, Connor Zay, just kind of depends on what that other person, whoever they think might be a better receiver. Now, just know that Amari Cooper had a good week 2 weeks ago, but didn't necessarily have a great week last week. He had 0.8 points. So that's not good. They won 31-10. That might have been part of the reason. Maybe they, had a big lead and they didn't need to throw to him anymore. But you don't want to get in those situations. Probably against Miami, he'll probably put up 12 to 15 points, I'm guessing. He is questionable though with a wrist. He was limited in practice today, which doesn't say much. He'll need to go a full practice uh, by the end of Friday, so that it's not a rule per se, but usually they like to have at least one full practice by the end of the week so that they can play on Monday or play on Sunday. So yeah, I mean, let's see. Yeah, I would say Connor and Zay or Connor and Olave. Maybe the Connor and Olave is a little bit weaker than the one with Zay, maybe a little bit. I mean, I know people like Olave. He was really good earlier in the season, but I think Derek Carr's back, so that'll increase Olave's value. Zay has value, however, with Deontay Johnson coming to the Ravens, all the receivers' value goes down a little bit because he wasn't replacing anyone. He was just adding to their receiving core. So yeah, I think it's a good trade. I do. Either one you pick. Whatever, if they turn down Connor and Olave, then go Connor and Zay. All right, we're all caught up on gifts. I'm not seeing much on YouTube. I've been at it for almost 2 hours. So Mar has gifted in the past. Trade Amon-Ra for JJ. Still have CD from a trade I did earlier in the season. Well, I mean, is someone going to straight up trade Amon-Ra for JJ? And the reason why I say that is I'm not saying that Jefferson's numbers are that much different than Amon-Ra. I mean, I don't know who was here, but like 20 minutes ago, I was talking with someone on YouTube, and he had said that he was trading two people for Saquon Barkley. I think Josh Allen and Montgomery. And I said, well, Montgomery the last 4 weeks compared to Saquon isn't that different. You have to look at it under some sort of microscope. You have to look at the numbers. And let's just see what Justin Jefferson's doing. And who was the other guy? Oh, Amon-Ra. Okay. So Jefferson's last 4 games, he's had 17, 12, 17.9, and 15. So very good. The 12.2 is a little bit lower than above average. You want to get to 13 in a 10-team league, but very good. Now let's look at St. Brown. Okay. Let's see here. Who was it? Oh, Amon St. Brown. Okay, St. Brown. We have St. Brown's last 4 games, 7, 21, 11, 17.78. Okay, so Jefferson, 17, 29, 32, 61, 28, 40. So, yeah, I mean, if you're getting Jefferson, you're getting a better wide receiver. Somebody would do that straight up. I mean, I'm kind of surprised by that. Like, you don't have to throw in somebody with Amon-Ra to get JJ. I mean, I would do that trade if you're giving up St. Brown and you're getting Jefferson. I would make that trade. If it's the other way around, I wouldn't do it. Jefferson is 2 points better the last 4 weeks than Amon-Ra. So, that could be the difference of you winning or losing, but it's 2 weeks, about 2 points rather, 1.5 to 2 points the last 4 weeks, because that's what I'm comparing it to. So I think maybe I'm surprised that somebody would do that straight up, but if you can do it, do it. Trade Amon-Ra and get Jefferson. Do it right now. Do not hesitate. Okay, I'm going to jump back on YouTube. Lucas Quack has a question. Would you rather have Brees and Neighbors or Kamara and Terry? Is this like for trade talks? Everybody likes a trade. Everybody wants to trade. Kamara's been a little inconsistent. Only 2 of the last 4 weeks has he gotten over that 13-point mark. Okay. So he's been a little inconsistent. Brees has been inconsistent. I know that because he's on one of my teams. And what little hair I have left, I pull out because of him. He'll have 25 points and he had 23 points and he had 9. Is somebody spamming me? No, I guess they're not. So last 4 weeks on Brees, he's had 5, 19, 23, 9. So the last 4 weeks, Brees, when he's over 13, he's over 13 by a lot. He's 19 and 23 points. So Brees, to me, has the higher ceiling and is roughly similar to Kamara Kamara had 43 points week 2. I don't know that he's going to ever do that again this season. Okay. That's kind of an outlier. It's like a statistical outlier. You almost can't count it really because it's so high. But I would say that Hall's just a little bit better, actually. He's within range, but he's better than Kamara. And I'm probably going to say that Neighbors, when healthy, obviously, is better than McLaurin. All right, we're at 46 followers on TikTok. If you like what you're seeing, please go ahead and follow. I need 4 more. Okay, McLaurin has had 11, 20, 12.8, so I'll round up to 13, 15. So 3 of the last 4 weeks, McLaurin has gotten to or over 13 points. So that's good. You trade away Kamara and Terry. Now let's look at what Neighbors has done. Neighbors had 10, 6, but he's kind of getting back from the concussion. He had 23, 24. I would say that Brees is a little bit better than Kamara. Neighbors, technically the last 4 games, let's say, McLaurin's put up better numbers than Neighbors, but Neighbors, last week 10, 2 weeks ago 6 for Neighbors. Last week 15, the week before 12.8 for McLaurin. So I think what you're probably looking at with Neighbors is that 23, 24, 17. Then he gets concussed. Then he's back at 6. Then he's at 10. I guess what I'm saying is if Terry gets back to where he's putting up, or if Malik gets back rather to that, I can't predict 23 and 24 points. I can say maybe that 17 point. Then it's a really good trade for you. Getting Brees and Neighbors because they're both a little bit better than the other two. Carson, you will be next. However, the unknown is Malik fully healthy? Can the Giants defense, now the Giants defense, Giants offense, they have Washington, they're not great shakes on defense, then Carolina, Tampa Bay you can throw on, Dallas you can throw on, New Orleans you can throw on, Baltimore you can throw on. They do not have a good pass defense. Atlanta you can throw on, Indianapolis. So Neighbors has a favorable rest of the season schedule for whatever that's worth. I'm just putting that out there. So yeah, I don't think it's a bad trade. My only concern is that you may get Neighbors, and what if he doesn't really get over 10 or 12 points anymore? Like, what if he's not fully healthy, or what if the concussion and the offense has changed a little bit? I don't know. I'm not saying that that's going to be the case, but that would be my concern. But yeah, I think that Neighbors and Brees are both just a little bit better than the other guys at the same positions. Thank you for that, Lucas. All right, let's go to Carson. Yes, Carson. Where are you at here, Carson? Carson, there's some guy that has a basketball, a rocket, a devil, and something. Oh, he's talking with people, so that's cool. I just traded Garrett Wilson and Jacobs for Brees Hall. Thoughts? Well, I'm not going to say that I think that you won, because I bet you Jacobs and Hall, well, I could be wrong about this, but I'm guessing Jacobs and Hall might have very similar numbers. Okay, so Brees Hall, the last 4 weeks, 9, 23, 19, 5. Jacobs, 25, 17, 10, 15. I mean, the last 4 weeks, and then 5 weeks ago, Brees Hall had 2.8 points. Okay, so he'll have a couple good weeks, then a couple bad weeks. And Jacobs, over the last 4 weeks, I mean, he did have 10.5, which in a 10-team league is like average at best, but he had 25, he had 17, 10.5, 15.9, 9.8, 5.3. I don't know. I mean, people will probably say, oh, Brees Hall's a better running back, but I think they're pretty similar. I mean, on the season, Jacobs has 108 points. Brees Hall has 112, and over 8 weeks, that's literally a half a point difference between Brees Hall and Josh Jacobs. And we all know in fantasy, it's all about the points. So that was Carson, but I've gotten a lot of, remember guys, we're 49 follows, need one more. And we're going to be caught up on, okay. So Carson, what I'm saying is Jacobs and Brees Hall, there isn't really much of a difference between the two. Okay. And then getting Garrett Wilson. Now, Garrett Wilson is an interesting player in so much as his value has changed a little bit. The 2 weeks before they got Davante Adams, he was getting like 18 and 20 points. And then I think he's had, let me just look real quick. I should know this because he's on a ton of my teams for some reason. Okay, Lucas, you're on a 12-team PPR. I have Amon-Ra Collins as my other running back, so that's good. I don't think Collins comes back this week. I think he comes back next week, just to let you know. But like, okay, so look at the last 4 weeks by Garrett Wilson. Again, the last 2 weeks have been with Davante Adams, but 4 weeks ago, we'll go 4 through 1, or the last week, 22-20. Super. And then they get Davante Adams. Then he goes to 10. Then he gets 13.8. In a 10-team league, 13.8 is still above average. It's a good number. The 10.6 is average in my mind. And what I mean by that is you want your wide receivers and running backs to get 13 or higher. You want your quarterbacks to get about 19 or higher. You want defense and kickers 10 or higher, and you want your tight end 7 or higher. If you can keep that mold or that model, if you will, you're going to win a bunch of games. Now, you might not win everything, because somebody might get 43 points or 35 points or something like that. But if you keep that up, Soggy 45, please stop spamming. You're going to do well week in and week out. Okay. So let me go back to Carson real quick. I wish there was a way to just stop people from spamming. It's really mindless and useless. So I really think giving up Garrett Wilson and Jacobs is the better end of this trade, because I think Garrett Wilson still has value. I mean, he scored 13.8 points. He had a better day than Devontae Adams. And I think he did when he had 10.6 points before that. He's putting up still decent numbers. He's not putting up quite when he was the number one, but he's putting up really good numbers. And probably because Devontae Adams is there, taking away a lot of the attention. So that's why I don't think. I don't know that I don't know if that was a great trade. So, all right. I had a feeling it was bad. I have Kyron, CD, Cup, Kelsey, Hunt, and Baker. That's good. Now remember, and you know this, Hunt probably is a short timer because Pacheco's going to come back in give or take 2 or 3 weeks here. So I don't know if you have like a lot of guys that had Pacheco picked up Hunt, which was a great idea. But if you have them, just know that Hunt might not be long for this world, Carson. All right. We are all caught up on gifts. So now we're at 49 followers on TikTok. I need one more follower. If you like what you're seeing, follow. Keep hitting that like button. We're at 5,500 likes. Supposedly we're at 30 people, but we have over 4,000 people that have viewed this. So I guess I hold no one's attention, but I guess when they turn it on and they see my face, they probably go, oh God, Halloween is a day early. Take the mask off. Ryan followed me. Trade Tyreek and K9 for Puka, Monty, Pollard. I think Puka, again, I was very impressed with Puka. He had like no rust coming out of the gate last week. I really thought Cooper Kupp did outside of catching that touchdown. But as I said earlier, I really thought that Matthew Stafford was the one that made that touchdown work because he avoided the tackle and then he threw the ball. Like I think Stafford did the work, not Cooper. I don't think Cooper looked great. I don't think he looked as good as Puka. So getting Monty and Pollard, I think that's a good deal. I mean, yeah, I do. Pollard's solid. Monty's very good. I can. He's not maybe in that top tier with, but Monty's pretty close to Mixon and Walker as it is, kind of, with the numbers that he puts up. He's very consistent, and that's what you want. He almost gives you 15 points every week, and that's what you want. I think Puka probably could have a better rest of the season than even Tyreek. So yeah, I would do that deal, Ryan. I think it's a good trade. Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. And you'll be getting depth on that too. So good trade. Eddie Pinmantel, would you get Jammo off the wire? That's a name I haven't looked up in a while. Let's see. Oh, he's suspended. Officially suspended. Oh, he's suspended 2 games. Performance enhancing substances. So he was. So yeah, I mean, if you're desperate, definitely. He had 0.1 points against Minnesota. Then he had 16, 15, 0.7 11.9 and 21.9. So when he's good, he's pretty good, you know. I mean, anything over 13 is good. He had 11.9. That's relatively close, maybe not above average, maybe high average for a wide receiver. But when he's bad, he gets 0.1 and 0.7. That's not great. But he'll be back. He'll be well rested probably. Shouldn't have too much rust because it was just 2 games. So I'm thinking it's probably a good deal. You had to pick him up. I mean, why not? It's a good opportunity to get him. And you never really know, like, like if there's an injury to like St. Brown, Williams steps in. So yeah, I would get him. If you're not giving up anything decent, on your bench to hold on to him, I would do that. Now, I don't know. I've never dealt with a suspended player on fantasy. I just can't remember any time. So I don't know if I don't know if it works like an IR where you can put him in some sort of thing where you can pick up another player even. I don't know how that works. I'm guessing probably not because it's a suspension and not an injured reserve list kind of thing. But you might want to look into that maybe. So all right. We have 52 followers. That's awesome. I've been doing this for 2 hours and 10 minutes. It's only 7:13 my time. Okay, I'll go just like a couple more minutes on TikTok here, or if anybody pops up on YouTube, I can jump over there. We don't have a lot of people on YouTube right now. If you follow me or if you've gifted in the past, you'll be going next on TikTok. That probably don't forget that follow. Don't forget to hit that like. Someone just followed me. Let me see who it was. No, I'm not even seeing it. None of this stuff is okay. Santa Fe followed me. PPC carries Cup for Barkley or Swift or Harris. Cup for Barkley or Swift or Harris. Okay, Santa, I'm not. PPC carries Cup for Barkley. Well, I mean, obviously, Barkley probably gives you a higher ceiling of all the players. Swift has been extraordinarily consistent, getting you up to, 20 points the last couple of games. $18, $19, $19, $26. I mean, I would either, like, if you're choosing between that, you can go Barkley, but he's had 2 dogs weeks. DeAndre Swift has been over 18 points 4 weeks in a row. I mean, how can you not start a guy like that? If that's what you're asking. I mean, I wasn't that impressed with Cooper Kupp coming back. I'm sure he'll be much better in this game. I'm sure he was just, tearing off the rust. Let's see, Braden DePaul. So if you're asking like who I would go with, I would either go Saquon. I know everybody loves the name, but if you really look at it, Swift has been more consistent, and that's what fantasy is really about because you want to win week in and week out. Najee Harris just doesn't score enough touchdowns. He'll get you maybe 14 points, but that's a good week for him. That's why I like Najee, and I picked him up on one of my teams, but he just doesn't score enough touchdowns to get into that like 18, 19, 20 range. Jive, trade Stevenson and Rachaad White for Montgomery. I would do that right away. Stevenson doesn't have great value. Rachaad White splits all that time with Bucky Irving. He's putting up more, and I think he's catching the ball out of the backfield. But Montgomery gives you 15 points week in and week out. He's a tier above both those guys. All right, let's see. I can maybe do Lucas Rodriguez, Leggett or Lockett. Okay, let's look that one up. Leggett or Lockett? Let's compare them. I haven't looked those guys up in a while. Xavier Leggett, or as someone said on TikTok, Leggett. Okay, very inconsistent on Leggett. They play New Orleans. Lock it. I bet you I say very inconsistent here. Yeah, very inconsistent. They play the Rams. Okay, so let's look at Carolina. Well, Carolina, or not Carolina, New Orleans pass defense. New Orleans, the Saints pass defense is 28. So that bodes well for Leggett. Oh, you know what? But Leggett has Bryce Young at quarterback. So I don't think, well, but he had 11 points with Bryce Young last week. So maybe he's an anomaly. Lockett and the Rams. The Rams pass defense is 16. The matchup, okay. New Orleans, 28 out of 32. But Bryce Young got him the ball last week. He got 11.4 points. And Lockett, who's questionable, had just 1.4 and 6.5 before that. And they play the Rams, who are a little bit better. I would actually say, I can't believe I'm saying this with Bryce Young as the quarterback, but he was last week, and Leggett got 11.4. So based on the numbers, I'm saying you might want to go with Leggett over Lockett, because at least he got 11.4 with Young, who will be the quarterback again for Carolina this weekend. And he's a miserable, horrible quarterback, but he got 11 points with him last week. So I'm looking at the numbers and I'm saying, I'm making a prediction that based on the numbers, I think Leggett will have a better game than Lockett. And there's nothing that shows me that Lockett's going to do something out of this world per se. He's playing a better defense, and he only had 1.4 points, and I think Metcalf was still out. Where's Lockett in the depth charts? Well, they still have JSN. Yeah, JSN's number one. Yeah, I would go with Leggett. Wow. I'm picking a Bryce Young wide receiver. All right, everybody, that's going to do it for me. Thank you all for watching on YouTube. I want to thank Carson. I want to thank Smiley Face with the Teeth, The Real Zeke, Loggy Bear, Jose, of course, Will Moriarty, Ryder, Stephen Murphy, Birdo, Kenny, Bob, of course, Jordan, Josh, Josh Centino probably, A470, Jordan again, Andrew. Thank you all very much. I will talk to you. I'll be live tomorrow before kickoff, so you can see me then, and I'll try to be multi-streaming like I did tonight. So thank you very much. Sorry, guys, on YouTube.